guys, Live for Love TV. I want you to like, share and subscribe. Big up yourself.
Welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today's the 29th day of the 7th month, the 23rd year inside the 21st century. I hope everyone's doing extremely well out there. Now, I'm going to go over a story that's run for a couple of weeks now that I was going to leave alone. I thought about it and I said I'll leave it alone, but something has recently happened that I thought, you know something, I'm going to have to, put my view out there. And because, they say you can take one stone and kill two birds, or kill two birds with one stone, and I might be able to kill three with one stone here. So here it goes. This story revolves around a Carlee Russell, aka Carlee Russell. Now, if you don't know that name, you may have to pause this video and go and look it up, or just completely forget the video, because that name, for, as they say, for 49 hours was internationally known. And I was following the story as it happened bit by bit, because it got my attention just like it got most of the world's attention. Miss Carlee Russell, I think she's 25 or 26. She's a young lady who phoned 911 in the USA and said she saw a toddler walking on the I don't know, one of the interstate, big, like the motorways in the UK, but interstate, right? So at night, she saw a toddler walking on this motorway, so we say, and she called, in I wouldn't say in panic, but to the 911 to say this is a terrible situation, so that's what she told the 911 operator. When she was asked a few questions, she said the child looked about 3, maybe 4, and was in diapers, yeah, and had no, and obviously the child had no bottoms on, because she could see the diapers. The child was barefoot. This is what she goes on to say. And she was following the child. For some reason, she couldn't get out of her car and stop the child on the freeway in the pitch black, but she was able to follow the child. Cut to the next incident is when she ends the 911 call. Then she ends up phoning, I think, her brother's girlfriend or somebody like that, somebody in her family, somebody connected in her family. She rings them up to tell them the same story, and then the person on the other end hears the scream, and then the phone, she no longer hears this young lady named Carlee Russell. So the phone is left open, nobody knows what's happened to her. The police arrive, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes after the original 911 call. There's no sign of this young lady. Her car is there. Her mobile phone is on the scene. No sign of the lady and no sign of the toddler. For 49 hours, America was on tenterhooks. Everyone was looking for this, hoping this woman doesn't turn up dead. What happened to her? Where's the toddler? Was it a toddler used as a kidnapping to alert, which is young children being kidnapped and taken away, and the alert that is called Amber because of some young girl named Amber. So the police was given this information, again not making any opinions, but it was quite obvious. They said that she had looked up on her phone how to take money from a register without being known, without being suspected. She went and bought some food. She went and had some towels she took from her workplace. So we are listening to it and thinking, yeah, what's going on here? He's given us all this information. What's going on? What's going on? Cut to the chase. He ends the interview when people ask him, "Are you looking for this kidnapper?" And he says, "At the moment, we're not looking for anybody." So I mean, you can deem from that what you want. It's quite obvious that he thinks it's a bag of crock. This story girl is telling. But when he was trying to re-interview her, she refused. She refused to come back in. Said she was too distressed or too this or too that, and her parents were backing her up and saying her mental state is not right at the moment for her to be interviewed. Anyway, so they let that go for a day or two or whatever it was. The next thing we hear is that she's gone and got herself one of the top lawyers in the area, and he's released a statement on her behalf, whether she put it or he put it, where she's admitted she wasn't kidnapped, admitted the story was a bag of crock, an absolute folly, admitted everything basically, and said she's sorry. She's sorry. Now think about this. Some of you have got children. What if one of your children did exactly this to you? Not just the community and the police, but did it to you as mum and dad. What would you be thinking when your child has called up somebody in your family and screamed on the phone after saying she's seen some toddler there and disappeared for 49 hours? 49 hours. What would happen to you? You could, I mean, if you were not a strong person, you could have a heart attack. You could, some people have strokes for less than this. What kind of a person would do something like this, one to their own family and two to the rest of the community and friends and everybody else that went out there looking for volunteers, the amount of money that was spent? What kind of person would do something like this? Well, anyway, we have to move forward because people are wanting her to be charged now that it's been obvious. But this is what's so great about these people, because people saying, oh, she's mentally ill and all this kind of stuff. Well, what's amazing is when she was rearrested to be charged, she got a mugshot. Now, every one of you have seen American mugshots. Tell me when you've ever seen a mugshot with anybody smiling. I've never. In all the years I've seen people, I've seen Nick Nolte, the actor. The other day we saw Mad Cobra. We've seen all these people. We saw, what's his name? OJ. We've seen Michael Jackson. We've seen them all. Every single, I've never seen a mugshot of any human being that either black or white in America that's just been charged and get their mugshot actually smiling like they're taking one of these sorority things, I've never seen anybody do that. Never. And this is how she looks. Go look at her mugshot. Unbelievable. And now we find out that there are no real serious charges that she can face. This is what the police chief had to admit. On the books for the particular thing that she's done, there are no serious charges. She gets what they call misdemeanors and $1,000 bond, meaning bail. So they bring her in, charge her, and probably an hour and a half later she's out back on the street. And this is what her lawyer would have known, because they're good lawyers, they'd have known what she was facing. Now, the main thrust of the case is that the most they can do to her is give her a $6,000, if she gets found guilty of this, $6,000, or up to a year in prison, which she wouldn't do a year in prison. Even if they gave her a few months, she'd only get probably days at best. So basically, she's got away scot-free with all the money spent, with all the heartache. And this is the real bad thing about it. We know that people have been kidnapped and are still kidnapped. There are people who were looking for her, who knew her, who actually had people kidnapped and murdered. And they were out there looking for her while she was, God knows where she was, eating her cheese chips. I mean, it's unbelievable story. Unbelievable story. And the reason why I said could kill more than one bird with one stone is because she's of an age where it's my children's age, or people my generation can have children that age. What kind of a man, and I'm talking man, I'm not going to talk about her mother because her mother and father were on the scene all the time. What kind of a man would hear his daughter do this and go through this and not come out and stamp his authority immediately in the press and make himself clear? I don't know. And when I saw that man speaking, sitting there quietly with his wife, while his wife was talking about she's a little bit distressed and all that, I looked and I thought, now this is the reason why that girl could do that. Exactly why she can do it. Look at the kind of people, look at the parents she's got. She wants to meet my parents and a lot of our parents that we grew up with. You wouldn't do it for 5 minutes. You wouldn't do this for 5 minutes. You see, when you've got real proper parenting, strong parents that I call tough love, real love. You don't do things like to them. Why would I do or anybody do this to my parents, let alone to the whole world? Why would anybody do this? So when I saw the man and I didn't see him come out, I mean, I'll tell you straight, if any of my girls was to do this and it happened, I would have been straight. Once I came back and think they'd have to keep me off her. I'm telling you straight. They'd have to arrest me and keep me off her. What type of person would do that to their own parents, to their cousins, their brothers, their community, their family, the country? What type of person does such a wicked act? I mean, I don't know of a more wicked act that I can think of than something like this to somebody emotionally and spiritually, what this will do to people. They'd have to keep me off her, seriously. And if the rest of the family said, oh, don't say anything to the press, I'd be out on the press saying this is an absolute disgusting disgrace. A disgrace. How could anybody do this? What type of, but I know that, and I don't want to say my children wouldn't do, but when you bring your children up a certain way, they know you and they know what's right and wrong and what's how far a joke. But her parents were backing her all the way through it. Even when they knew, when she walked in to that house after 49 hours, they knew that she hadn't been kidnapped. Of course they knew. They could look at her and say, this woman had been kidnapped. Some of the silly stories that she was telling the police wanted to know, why weren't you tied up? How did you get off? Oh, they didn't want to tie me up. They didn't want to tie me up in case they left marks on my wrists. I mean, the policeman must be looking across the deck. I mean, I've had run-in with the police. The police must be looking at us and say, kidnappers didn't want to tie you up in case they left marks on your wrists. They've kidnapped you for God knows what. But they don't want to, I mean, this is the kind of foolishness this girl was trying to do. She's an infantile person, and her parents, and I'm saying straight, are infantile. But as I said already, you have to have a certain kind of parents to behave a certain kind of way, and this is the kind of parent I've seen it with them. I could hear them talking and listen to them, and I thought, wow, what a couple, and I'm not so surprised they produced a spoiled brat like this, and. Then you have this gentleman, I don't know what to call him, I don't want to be disrespectful, by the name of Mr. Umar Johnson. Now, many of you will know who Umar Johnson is. I've never mentioned Umar Johnson on any video at any time because I find him kind of laughable. Prior to this particular story, I find him a laughable character. He talks tough, goes around blasting everyone, telling Jamaica, oh, they shouldn't let the Chinese do this, telling Ghana they shouldn't let the Chinese, telling Kenya they shouldn't. I mean, this guy's a comedian. What does he run? Does he know how to run a country? Does he understand the dynamics of real politics? Just blurting out things like it's a simple thing to do. You can just do it like that. When I hear him talk like this, I always think to myself, and people send me his videos all the time, and it's very sad because I look at these people and I think, boy, you really haven't got any thinking power. If you think a man like this actually knows what he's talking, just because he blasts people without any ability to show you how other things can be done. How is Jamaica to get to the state he wants to get to without some help from outside? Is there any country, including America or England, that doesn't have help from outside? Any country? So when he makes all these statements, I just find him so laughable. But this one is why I said I have to actually bring the story up, because he's come out now about this Carlee Russell and said that any black person that literally wants her to be charged is a disgrace and should be ashamed of himself, which is talking about me, and maybe you and some other people. We should be ashamed of ourselves. If he sees Carlee Russell, he'll give her a big hug because of what's happened to the black women over the years and all the times they've been chased. And if this has happened oh, Jesus. Right, when I heard the man talk, I thought, this guy, honestly, I don't know if he's on medication or what. Yeah, because he's intelligent. He's read lots of books. He's got a sort of photographic memory, can remember dates and but the stuff he comes out with, you have to wonder what has happened to him. Something must have happened to him. He wants to give Carlee Russell a big hug, and nobody should be saying anything against her because of what black women have been through in history in America. Allows her to be able to do this and we not say anything. There's something wrong with this guy. There's got to be something wrong with her appearance. And there's something wrong with her. And this brother is prepared to say outright, there's something wrong with a lot of them. There's got to be something seriously wrong with a girl that would do that to her own family and forget, let's just say, let's put the world to one side, but to her own family. To her own family.
People, one step more, one step more, one step more, one step more until you reach your goals. One step more. This is Live for Love TV.